You've had that feeling, the one, the quiet, certain knowing that shows up before your brain has had a chance to talk about it. The knowing that said, that isn't right, or that's the one, it's time to go. And then you spend the next 3 hours convincing yourself that that's real. So this is what I want to offer you today, and it's not what you're expecting. You're not broken and your gut isn't broken. But most of us were never taught to distinguish between the real signal and the noise around it. And that is what today is all about. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Maria Martinez, and this is the Inner Authority Project. That's literally what this channel is all about. And today I want to talk about 3 specific traps that cause intelligent, self-aware women to override the most reliable thing they have. And of course, that's where we're going to spend a little time here today, because I believe it is crucial that we learn to trust ourselves again. And not only am I going to talk about those 3 traps, but I'm also going to talk about what happens when we stop leaning into those traps. So I call it a 3 Gut Distrust Traps. All right, so let's get into it. The first trap is the training trap. Now let's face it, we were taught as we were growing up that feelings are not data. Yes or yet, we were taught that to be able to survive in systems that we were raised in, whether that was professional or academic or familial even, we were taught to treat logic as legitimate and intuition as suspect, or what they call nowadays woo-woo. So if you can relate to this type of upbringing, you might remember being told, oh, you're just too emotional. Or where is the evidence, right? We're used to looking for the evidence because we want to be very evidence-based. Or, oh, stop it, you're overthinking things. So what happens as a result of that is that we learn to rely on spreadsheets, to second guess our own thoughts and trust instead second opinions, or to seek the approvals of others even though they might not be even in our shoes and may have never experienced what we have experienced. So here, what's important to call out is that we did not stop trusting ourselves and our gut because it failed us, but rather we stopped trusting ourselves because we were trained to call it something less valid, something that needed to be backed up before it counted. So here's what research shows, and women that have learned this already also know. Intuition, my friend, is pattern recognition. Our nervous system is so smart and is constantly processing thousands of data points faster than our conscious mind can name them. In fact, neuroscientists call this somatic processing. And what this means is that our body has already loved those experiences, even though our conscious mind has yet to catalog them. Isn't that interesting? That's super interesting to me. So critical here, a takeaway point, intuition isn't less than logic. It's logic that hasn't slowed down enough to explain itself yet. So remember here, if you might be feeling this trap, we were not taught to distrust our gut because there was something wrong with it or with us, but rather we were taught to distrust it because the systems around us needed us to be more manageable. That's trap number 1. Trap number 2, the misfire trap. This tells us that we blame the feeling instead of the confusion. And this is the one that almost never gets called out So I want to call out here directly and clearly. Sometimes we trust our gut and sadly, things do not go as we had hoped. And instead of asking ourselves, was that my gut here, or was I acting based on fear or on longing or even of desperation? And because of the results of that action and the fact that things didn't go as planned, we conclude bravely, see, I knew it. I just cannot trust myself. Now, let me say something about that reaction, my friend, because honestly, I've been there and I know it can be painful, it can be real, in fact, it is real, and very much human. But it's a case of mistaken identity. And it's important that we get that clear on right now. Your gut, if you think about it, is very specific and has a very distinct quality to it. It's quiet. It's clear. It doesn't need you to convince yourself. Instead, fear is different. Fear is loud. Fear rehearses and it brings a whole argument and a backup plan and all of the worst case scenarios that you can think of. If that feeling brings a sales pitch with it, it's not your gut. Chances are that it's not your gut, and that is an important distinction for us to make in this season of our lives, where we can learn to discern between the signal and the noise. And important here that it's not because we never want to get it wrong, because we're human after all. But for me, the important point here is that we need to learn about it so that we can stop punishing ourselves for a confusion that was always understandable. That was trap number 2. And that brings us to the third trap on the distrust traps, and that is the cost trap. This means acting on it means disappointing someone. And this is one that not too many people talk about either. I talk to a lot of women my age and older, and we don't talk about this enough. So let's go ahead and call it out. Most of the time, we know what our gut is telling us. We know it. We're old enough to know. But following it means a change of plans that somebody was counting on. Following it might mean that we are going to choose ourselves when we are so used and others are used to us choosing them first. Or acting on it might mean that we are going to admit something that we have known for a long time, but we have yet been open enough or brave enough to say it out loud. So we don't call it a gut feeling. What do we call it? We call it uncertainty. We call it not being ready. We're calling it, we need more. Give me more details, more information. I'm not ready. And by default, what do, friend? We wait. We wait until the decision is clear, and instead what happens is somebody else makes the decision for us, or the window closes, or we just stay. So the gut and trusting ourselves is not the problem. We fear the consequences that come from trusting it. That's typically what we're afraid of. This is the third trap. So having said all of that, I want to pause and tell you this is where the work starts. If you recognize any of those 3 traps right now, this is where we start. We don't have to act on it right away though. Remember, we're waiting for that, for the gut to come through and tell us. So we don't have to act on it immediately. We don't have to blow up people's plans just yet. And yet, we do have to stop lying to ourselves, pretending that we don't know what we know. That's the first step. Admitting the truth to yourself. Before you do anything with it, just stop pretending that you don't know. That action can change everything. My friend, your gut knows. In fact, it has known for a very long time. So the question here is not, can you trust it? The better question might be, what is it going to take for you to let it lead? When I first sat with that question, my answer took a while. My answer was clear. And it said, you just have to believe that your knowing is as powerful and as important than everybody else's. That was my realization. So this is the work that I'm inviting you to do. That's what inner authority actually is all about. Not the absence of fear, not the clarity around every aspect of life right now, yet the willingness to let your own knowing count for something. Acknowledging and respecting and honoring that your knowing counts. That's your trust, that's your gut, that's your inner authority. Before I let you go, I want to invite you to like and to comment down on the comment section. I want to know which of these traps do you recognize. And I look forward to seeing you on my next video because we are doing the work here, my friends. Until next time, take good care. This is Dr. Maria Martinez saying goodbye for now.